Hi, my name is Rosalani StHilaire, and welcome to my Capstone Symposium 2021 presentation. So, for my Capstone Symposium 2021 presentation, I'm going to be talking about my Behind the Voice interview that I did for my multimedia seminar class. My final project for Multimedia 4900 was an interview with a local musician named Christ Moon. The idea for this project came pretty last minute in the semester, like kind of like an epiphany. I had just been canceled on by a lot of people who were supposed to help me with my project, a lot of flakiness, and Ricky, who is the person behind Christ Moon, we had been like kind of talking about collaborating over Instagram DMs, and I was just like kind of stressed thinking about what I could possibly do for this project. And I was like, this is perfect. Like, I didn't know anyone as interesting as them to do this project off of. And then when I pitched the idea to them, they were super on board and it really started to get the ball rolling. So I really appreciate Ricky for being able to do this interview with just a week's notice. That was very awesome. And up here is one of the film photos I took on the day of our shoot. I was just able to get those processed and I love how they came out. Since the idea came to me kind of suddenly towards the end of the semester, I was on a bit of a time crunch with just a week to plan. And I wanted this interview to be like more personal and in depth and not just like me asking generic questions. So I asked Ricky what topics they were comfortable discussing, and we both agreed on a variety of subjects like fashion, politics, gender, just music in general. And so I started researching as much information as I could find about Christ Moon online. I listened to their entire discography to like make sure I really familiarized myself. And then I just started brainstorming a list of questions. So these are 2 out of 3 pages of interview questions I wrote. I had a bit more and I sent these over to Ricky before the interview just so that they could go over and like think about their answers beforehand so they could really give the best answers they could without being put on the spot. So after I had confirmed Christ Moon for the interview, my next step was finding a crew and securing the studio. The day of the shoot. So after confirming a crew call time of 12:15 the night before, I picked up my friend Olivia and we went to the studio and began setting up. Of course, we had a lot of issues because what is a film production without a ton of issues? Meant that we ended up having issues in the final cut with our audio. So if you're listening with headphones, you'll notice it's really left ear dominant. And that's because um, the audio person did not have enough time to figure out how to do it properly by the time our talent came. And it was just kind of like, we have to shoot. So that's definitely a bummer. But so once we had everything under control, our talent arrived and I introduced them to the crew to make sure they were comfortable. Something I learned from the previous interview I've done in my career is to make sure the interviewee repeats the question back while answering because it makes post-production editing a lot more smooth. The most fun part of the shoot was interviewing because Kreisman was so well spoken and enthusiastic, and I can tell they definitely went over the questions and formulated their answers prior to the interview, so that was great. So after the interview, we ended up having a photo shoot digitally as well as on film. The atmosphere was super fun and creative, and Olivia really stepped up as the photographer, so I was very grateful for that. We were packing up while they were shooting, and they were able to capture around like 1,000 photos. On the following Monday, I did a separate interview for another class, and in a rush of trying to do things, I accidentally formatted the SD card with all my C100 footage, which was like the front on view of Christ Moon, permanently erases everything on an SD card. So I had another mental breakdown. So for post-production editing, like I said, I didn't end up using the C100 footage. And then I just began the process of matching up each individual clip with the audio, which was super time consuming, but obviously worth it in the end. Christ Moon actually sent me some instrumental tracks that I could use for the background. If you know anything about editing, you know royalty-free music is like the worst thing I've ever heard with peace and love. I am excited to show you guys the first minute of the shorter version I created. So yeah, that concludes my presentation, but I would just like to say a special thanks to Christ Moon, Elijah Martinez, Olivia Treese, Sierra Wall for your help on set. You guys can find me at rose.lonnie on Instagram or my email below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.